Okay, folks, welcome to our fifth LSFC podcast, and it's a very special edition. And I wish we had the budget for a kind of a brass band, but let me give you a flavor of what I mean here. Because I am joined by college royalty in terms of actually the three people I have with me right now. Three very special guests. Actually, one who was my boss, so I'm going to have to be on my best behavior a few years ago and retired and is joining us. So, welcome, Chris. I'll be kind of coming to you in a few moments. And then our two other guests who are Nancy and John Reed. And before I bring them in, one of the advantages, and Chris will know this, of being principal is that you have access to people's personnel folders. So guess what I did on Friday? I didn't go into yours, Chris, by the way. I think that's under lock and key. Um, but I did look at John and Nancy's, and if I'm honest, there was a bit of a difficulty because there was a couple of carrier pigeons in there, and there's a couple of cave paintings in there as well. Going back so far, but I did get some bits and pieces. So, John, I really loved listening to this. So you applied on the 6th of April, 1988 as a sociology teacher. And the principal at the time, John, can you remember?
Yeah, it was Dr. Martindale.
Okay, I've got Brian Hausman here, so you've actually got wrong.
Brian Houseman started at the same time as me.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, well saved. And then on the 5th of
Sorry, I'm
July,
going to have to close my window. I've got something cutting something outside. Typical.
that's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. I'll come back to you. But anyway, sort of a few months later, he then also applied as a student information counselor. Are you back, John? Yes, we have
Yeah,
rehearsed.
I'm back. Thank you.
Hello, John. Nice to see you. How are you? You well?
Very well, thank you.
Good, good. Let me read something out from the Manchester Polytechnic on the 13th of April, 1988. And it says this: Mr. Reed spends a great deal of effort and thought into his planning, demonstrating teaching skills at a level we would not expect at this stage. I don't know if that means that you were really good or really rubbish. I'm not quite sure what that meant, but we'll assume you were really, really good. He also is genuinely interested, caring, and sensitive. He is an extremely mature and sociable young man. That's you, John. Does that ring a bell?
Uh, well, if it doesn't, I'm still going with it. It's the first time I've seen that or heard that, of course. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. And Nancy, don't worry, I'm going to kind of touch on you as well. So you applied in December 1992 for the role of, can you fill in the gaps, Nancy?
Yeah, receptionist.
And
Turn time
telephonist.
only.
And telephonist as
Oh,
well. Don't miss that one. And it says here you were previously at, is it Misionet for 12 years? Is that a retail outlet of some sort?
Vignette. It was a
Vignette
bridal shop. Yes.
bridal shop. Okay, fine then. Okay, there might be a few people listening to this who might be interested in that kind of background. Previously having been there for 12 years, and I've got this here, and this is from, I don't know if it's a Mr. or Mrs. Lightfoot.
Mrs.
CM.
Lightfoot, yes. And she was a teacher. She was a needlework teacher before
Wow.
she opened the business.
Oh, wow. Okay. And this is what she says about you. So, throughout this time, she has been honest, loyal, and a highly motivated member of the retail team. She has undertaken a wide range of responsibilities and made a considerable contribution to the success of the company. I shall be very, very sorry to lose her. That's what she said. Okay. And on that kind of note, actually, sort of, I was going to say, sort of, I'd be sorry to lose you. I don't think I will be losing any of you guys. I think because you will always be part of Luton Sixth Form College family. Talking of which, my excellent friend, Mr. Principal. Do we call each other Mr. Principal like they call Mr. President? What's the anyway? Maybe that's another podcast, Chris. What do you think about Nancy, John? What do you associate with them, Chris?
Well, I made a long list. Actually, can I just first of all say what a privilege it is to be here? So thank you so much for inviting me. It's lovely to see all of you again. I did make lists for John and Nancy, and honestly, it would take me half an hour to go through each. They have a lot in common, John and Nancy. They're both completely driven by values, by a sense of commitment to people, always willing to go the extra mile to help the students and the staff. They've got lashings of emotional intelligence, so important in the role. And they work so hard, and they're utterly reliable. Gosh, there aren't many people you can say that about, really, are there? And I know nobody is indispensable. I do know that. But I would have to say to myself, if I thought of running Luton Sixth Form College without John and Nancy, I'd be kind of quaking in my boots,
Yeah,
because
thanks, Chris.
they
Yeah, thanks for
they
that.
are the beating heart of the college, aren't they? Have I got time to say one or two more things?
Chris, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Because I have made a long list for
Please
both, but
feel
I
free.
you know I
Let's
haven't got time.
embarrass them
But
completely. Go on.
just something about Nancy. This will tell you something about the kind of person she is. When I started as principal in 2012, I remember coming up to my office. I think it might have been the day I was appointed, or perhaps it was after a holiday. Nancy will know, but it doesn't really matter. I came into my office and I was stunned, because that room where you are now was plastered with messages, lovely messages. Good luck, Chris. Well done. Congratulations. Great to have you, boss. You'll be wonderful. All that kind of thing. And honestly, I was really overwhelmed. And the work that you'd done that with your team, and the idea that you actually thought to build me up as the new principal, to encourage me, because I needed it. I'll tell you know this. When you start, you think, how am I going to do this job? And how you do it is with the support of people like John and Nancy. If I can say a couple of things about John, I know we're a bit pressed for time, but John is an outstanding teacher and a leader, and I'll say a little bit about each. As a teacher, I had a privilege of watching him teach sociology a few times, and I was a tutor, so my students, they said he was a legend, absolute legend. He was fantastically popular, but so creative in the classroom. I can still remember, John, the breakdancing Spider-Man. Can you remember the breakdancing Spider-Man? And that painting of Mr. and Mrs. Andrews, the Gainsborough painting, and what you brought out of that painting was incredible. It was like a bit of art history and sociology. The students were mesmerized. I was mesmerized. I'm talking about it 10 years later. Really outstandingly creative teacher, and very supportive. The students love sociology. I'm sure they still do. I hope you've got some brilliant sociology teachers to take over. But as a leader, I just want to say, John, also outstanding. I mean, it's tough being a middle leader. It really is, because you have to put up with a load of rubbish that comes from people like me, not you, Altaf, but senior leaders that
Yes.
talk to the mid leaders and say, we need you to do this. And you're thinking, how can we do that? But you say, yeah, we'll do it, boss. We'll get on with it. You make it work. You make it work in a way that is practical, unlike perhaps, some of the highfalutin ideas of senior leadership. You get on and do it. But from the other end, you've got people in your team who are saying, we can't do this. They must be crazy. And you say, we can and we will, because it's for the students. John, you were brilliant at that, managing that in a tactful, diplomatic way, always committed to get the best outcome for the students. And yeah, you will be missed. Both of you will be missed as outstanding leaders. So thank you for everything you did to support me. And yeah, Altaf, good luck with finding replacements for these amazing people.
Chris, thank you. That means a lot to all of us. I think so. Thank you. I think you're right. I think I said at CLT, didn't I? That actually, we're not even going to try to replace Nancy or John. That would be a stupid thing to do. We're going to try to replace the function, but trying to replace these two guys, how can we possibly do that? And before I bring in Nancy, there's two things that you said there about that values-driven bit. Those are really important strands about kindness, compassion, integrity, honesty, etc., etc. And then the middle squeezed, that's what I call them, and I think you have to kind of deal with both sides of things, don't you? So if you don't mind, John, I'll go with ladies first, etc. In terms of all the things that you've heard, in terms of all the experience that you've had, Nancy, and I think I worked that out to almost 30 years.
Yeah.
What are your fondest memories of Luton Sixth Form College?
I think listening to Chris then, and listening to him saying about we decorated his office, I think one of my fondest memories is us all being involved with every single appointment that's made. I think we own the person who's appointed, and it's up to us to make, make a positive outcome for them. I think it also made me understand that managers have feelings, managers are people, and to make them as welcome as you would any other member of your team. You were saying about middle management and the sandwich bit, you're in the middle, and you have a responsibility to the people that are above you as well as to those that are below. And I think Luton Sixth Form College has got that hit right through the management structure here. I think people do own the responsibility of making sure that the whole thing works. And I think being part of that has been an absolute pleasure for me. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Nancy. Can I just say one more thing? Chris was talking about some of his memories. I still remember this where I think I was vice principal at the time. I think you came running in and you said, God, I've just told off Chris at the photocopy and I don't know what to say. And he's just gone off and he's really polite about it. And I don't know. And I said, look, you're fine. Do you remember? Do you remember?
I remember that.
I remember it too. I've still got the scars, Nancy.
She hasn't changed, by the way.
Photocopier, and I was rumbling on about something, and then he said, "Oh, that's interesting." And I turned round, and there he was in my line of vision. And I think he heard things he wouldn't have heard if I'd seen him there. We took it all in good part, Chris, didn't we?
That's part of the job, hearing things you're not supposed to. That's how you know what's really going on. I mean, I didn't mention, I mean, the way that you manage the exams, Nancy, is just would take a day to describe. But one of the largest exam centres in the country, and the level of detail, the amount of work that you went in to make everything happen, everybody in the right place. Yeah, incredible. And I just want one final memory, a memory I will always have of Nancy is walking across the boulevard like Mary Poppins, with armfuls of balloons that threatened to carry her off with Amanda and Leslie. And what went into the enrolment process? I mean, I doubt there's a college in the country that could match you for that. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, the balloons will always be a part of enrollment, won't they? I don't think that there'll be a
Hope so.
legacy that will ever go.
Yeah.
Okay, and then one thing we didn't throw into the mix was actually how Nancy over the years has managed the student bursary scheme. I just, these are monies to some of our most deprived young people, which Nancy has been managing with integrity, with care and compassion. And I could carry on as Chris. We could carry on and carry on in terms of the kind of the impact that this lady has had. But then we would have no time for the wonderful John Reed. So John Reed, wonderful teacher. You've been here for, if my maths is 33 years. Have I got that right? So, wow, you must have some stories, memories. Over to you.
I've got quite a few. Can I just say, by the way, I think I'm a bit out of sync time wise, because I'm pretty sure when I arrived it was just at the end of the Boer War. Because I remember Nancy just at the start of the First World War when she arrived. So I must have something missing there, but we can come back to that. Chris, lovely to see you. Thank you so much for your kind words. It means ever so much to me. And I think just like with Altaf, the reason why I think you have staff over the years, like Nancy, is because of what you bring as well in your what you brought in your leadership, and what Altaf continues to do, which is that warmth, and as well as all the commitment which we know needs to go with a principal roles. And it was always those moments of having a quick chat, sometimes even if we went off, the thing we're here to do, and that's always available. And I've always appreciated that about both of you. I'm just trying to find some common ground. But so thank you ever so much, Chris. It's great to see you, really is. I could go on a long time about this, but I'll just mention a string of things if I can, and I know that Anissa will start doing the signals in the background if we need to wind up. But lots of things. I do remember still coming round the first morning ever in a taxi at Bradgers Hill Road, And it feels a long time ago now, that, to be honest. Going into the staff room for the first time, which was ever so smoky, and of course that was the old student services, as it was before Chris's time. I think before Altaf's time as well, to be perfectly honest. And then people like Nancy moved their exams office into there, didn't they? And the rest. So I do nearly every morning when I arrive here, I still think about that first morning. So I've had that memory how many times since. It is interesting that that happens. I'll mention a few things. One, of course, is all the times where you felt very rewarded by students who've done so well in sociology in particular. I taught a few things over my time, but obviously sociology was the main subject. That's so thrilling to do that, you know, when you bring people through. But you bring people through in lots of different ways as well. I got involved in this debating thing, which I have an ongoing interest in. Again, Chris was a massive support in that, always taking interest in what we're doing, participating in the judging and all of that. And I think that was something which was a real plus as well, if we consider it. That was really a special period of my life in the college. I think it's quite important when you're here a long time to reinvent yourself. And I think I kind of did a little bit at that point. I wanted to mention actually something which was interesting, which happened the other day, because I'm starting to think around the place a little bit at the moment. We're so busy, as you know, that I've not really thought too much about the end. But I started to think, oh, I need to take something home. I need to take that home with me. I mustn't forget that. I'm not stealing things, I promise you, Altaf. Those laptops which went missing, nothing to do with me. But I had this student, and Chris will remember this because of the award he presented to this student at probably the last time you did that Heroes or the awards evening, as we called it then. And it was a student who I taught who had real terrible mental health issues. And you know, we honoured her that night. And when she left, she'd been in my class. When she left, she'd done me this poster, which you can't all see now. But if I can be just a bit self-referential, are we okay for time, Anissa?
Yes, carry on.
She did this poster. It's called "Thank You, John," and I had it up in W101 for a while. Thank you for all your help with college work, making the lessons so interesting, your jokes, supporting me through everything, understanding when things were tough, believing in me, inspiring me to keep going, making me laugh, giving me hope, being you. And that was from Rebecca. And lo and behold, I took this down on Friday morning from W101. And I thought, because I'd like to take that home, because it is an actual poster. And by the way, I'm particularly impressed by the fact she liked my jokes. That was the first time in 33 years.
Nobody's perfect.
And I came in the office then, switched on the system. Lo and behold, she'd sent me an email out of the blue. Wow. Really quite odd. In the email, she's telling me that she got a first at Royal Holloway doing clinical psychology. She got a special award. She's now doing a master's degree. A real example of a student who had the most challenging problems imaginable, as Chris will remember, who was actually featured on a TV program as well as a consequence of some of the difficulties she'd been confronted with in life. But for her to come through in such a way, I can see there's still challenges for her, but she's done so well, and you can't but not cite that as something which is very rewarding, and really pleased to see that.
John, seriously, thank you. I'm going to kind of just give it back to Nancy and you just for any final words. But Chris, coming back to you, you seem to be even busier than when you were principal here about all the stuff I see you doing. Any tips in terms of the next chapter that Anissa, that Nancy and John are looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, John said something really important in there. I mean, he always says important things, but he used the phrase reinvent. He says in this job, you have to reinvent yourself, and I go with that. But actually, you know, retirement, I don't do the word retirement. It's an old-fashioned word. It's kind of rebirth, regeneration. Yeah. You will have, both of you, the opportunity to reinvent yourselves in a big way. It's a really exciting time. Even coronavirus, you know, done its best to make it miserable for others, but it hasn't worked. You know, it's still great. and I'm looking forward to coming out now. But you will have so many new things to try. That's what I would say. Try some new things. But one of the things I read that was really important is the things that you've enjoyed in the past are really the things that you will enjoy. So go back to some of the things you've done, refine some of the things that you've done. John, there's lots more listening of Brian Eno to come, and David Bowie. You can dig deeper there. And Nancy, the flower arranging, that we didn't even mention that, but that's a spectacular skill of Nancy's. So yeah, you'll find you have more time, but you won't have quite as much time as you think. You will find you're busy, but yeah, you two will love it. I know you won't regret leaving Luton Sixth Form College. I mean, you will in one way, but overall, you know what I mean. You will think this is time for the rest of my life. It starts here. So good luck to both of you, and I hope I'm able to see you again in the future. Nancy, we might get you to the food bank. We might even get John to the food bank. Who knows? But
that's my intention, Chris. That is my intention. It's the only thing that in my head I've committed to.
Oh, I like that. Can you write that down for me, please, Altaf? You've got in front
It's
of me
been
there.
recorded, Chris, so
Yeah.
she's not going to be able to get away
Good
from
point.
that one. Nancy, whilst you have got the floor, any final words, any thoughts, anything from you?
Just to wish you all really well, and I know you're going to get to greatness. Greatness by 2022. We're very nearly there, and you can do it. I know you can. I think a lot of the new teaching teams and new staff coming along are going to bring new innovative ideas that you can pinch. You can tweak some of the things, that you're already doing. And yeah, I'm going to watch with interest over the years. I'm always going to be an ambassador for Luton Sixth Form College, as I'm sure John is as well.
And me too.
Once you've been here, you're forever attached.
It always sounds like a threat when I say, but you will never leave the family, I'm afraid, folks. Whether you leave here physically or whatever, you will always be part of the Luton Sixth Form College family. So, Nancy, thank you. John, final words from you?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Yeah, Chris, I couldn't agree with you more. I've been thinking I've been using the term reconfiguring me a little bit, which is, really how I'm approaching it. And I think we're very much in line with what you were saying. It's very interesting you were saying those things. Well, this is a fantastic place to be. We all have those Monday morning feelings sometimes, but once you're in the place, it's great. That sense. That's the thing I'm slightly worried about, is that great sense of community. Through thick and thin, that's something I'm sure I'll miss, because the people here are really, really kind and great, and it's been a really fantastic place to be.
Okay, so folks, honestly, thank you. I wrote down here about me kind of being very sad to lose friends, but actually, I'm not losing anybody. I think Chris hasn't been lost to me. We still keep in touch. So will you as well. But if I can just say to all three of you, if I'm honest, in terms of how much I've learned from all of you, in terms of the kindness, the generosity, I always tend to put people into kind of two categories: the givers and the takers. And you three guys are givers. You cannot help yourself. You like to give and give and give. And in terms of that next chapter, I've got a lot of optimism for the next chapter. Everyone I speak to, they say, if you're busy being busy, don't suddenly stop. That's the worst thing you can do. It's like stopping from 100 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour. You will always be rapid change agents, whatever you do, all three of you. So I'm really excited about the next chapter. And at least I'm just looking at it. I think in a year's time, it'd be great to have it'd be like the Friends reunion. I just realized it could be like that, couldn't it? You can come back and you can tell us what you've been doing. Yes, okay. I will check if there's any Botox or any expressions that are changed on screen. But let's do that in a year's time. Let's do this again. We can see what you've been doing.
Good idea.
Okay, so folks, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening. Sorry if we've been a little bit self-indulgent, but you understand, this is all about these three very special people, in particular, John and Nancy. So thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.